I started, it was a feat for me to speak a poem with conviction about being gay. Now there's these platforms for voice where people can be witnessed or witness others. The doors are wide open. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's called being human. Whatever nuance or vibration or particular or fetish or whatever it is, that whatever that takes on for you, roll with it and write it and don't censor it. You don't have to share it if you don't want to, and if you do, edit it and go for it.
If you're looking for a way to connect with the LGBTQ plus literary community during quarantine, we've got some good news for you. Poetry.LA, along with the City of West Hollywood and Pride Poets, are partnering to bring you an infographic about the state of our queer literary community during this time. We know the pandemic has been rough on everyone in our community, no less. And so we're really excited to be able to bring you different ways to connect from some of the leaders in the field and folks who are making these spaces happen all around Los Angeles and now all across Zoom. You just heard from one of them, award-winning spoken word artist Buddy Wakefield. And here are some of the other folks we think you should know and get involved in.
One of the interesting things about the pandemic is that because we've gone all virtual, all Zoom, we're no longer contained to just writers who are physically in Los Angeles on the date of the show. Kentuckians, people in Massachusetts, people in Texas, people, all over have been able to come and be headliners on the show. It's been honestly like maybe the one constant thing that I've had this year is that there still was a queer slam every month.
Lambda Literary is an LGBTQ literary nonprofit that is basically national. We were getting ready for the Lambda Literary Awards, which are the LGBTQ book awards that happen every June, and for the LGBTQ Emerging Writers Retreat. So what happened for the program year is that the book awards and Lambda Lit Fest went online, and the retreat we decided is too important to put online in terms of the experience.
I do feel like running Lambda Lit Fest during the pandemic is one of my biggest accomplishments, and part of that is because I really created like a dream event with a team that was awesome, that I have been wanting to see and haven't seen anywhere. To have an event that was 25 people, that was only BIPOC, LGBTQIA+, that covered so many things on the map that I haven't seen. Plus every night was themed on a different topic. It was just like a really amazing experience and an amazing event.
One of the things that we talked about was like how to create a dynamic literature fest. Who do we want to see? Like, who's our dream sort of panel and readers, but also it was about like, how do we put money in the pockets of writers and poets? Also, we decided like how to create a dynamic event, but add sonic texture. So we have chosen to have musical guests. Adding a musician is also just getting money into the pockets of creatives, because musicians, as you know, like they've just been obliterated during this because there's no live shows.
There wasn't a space in LA, in East LA, for LGBTQIA folk. One day, knocking on doors and businesses like, hey, can we have a storytelling event? Yeah, and sure enough, that's how it kind of started, and the nonprofit route became a reality. I eventually went to grad school at Antioch, LA for the nonprofit management program. And then I started learning more. And as I was learning, I was implementing it and bringing it back into my communities and just kind of building up and saying, what's next? Like, what can we do next? And just kind of innovate from there.
Before the pandemic, we were really just more of a series of events. The community had needed like queer-friendly holiday celebrations. I just held like 3 or 4 rolling town halls with different groups of queer young people, and we're like, what does your reality look like right now? What do you need? What's missing? What can we do? I'm getting connected to a lot of like particularly religiously aligned schools are starting to be like, after this summer, we're getting pressure from the outside to try to roll out different programming that's more inclusive, that's more supportive. That's a large undertaking, is to start doing in-school programming.
A week before the pandemic hit, I had gotten myself in a good position to see about offering a workshop for a month online for a decent price. Instead of going on tour where, they can come see me in each city, everybody could just come to one place, and it was more than I had ever made. And in 1 month. But when I realized I could do this with workshops, I reached out to everybody, who I roll with in this industry, and said, y'all, we can make money. And then COVID hit. And it was the perfect time to try it out. So we threw a festival with 40 folks. That was with Saul Williams and Andrea Gibson and Sage Francis and Ani DeFranco, and went to town and had a blast with it. And people loved getting intimate with their favorite spoken word artists or lyricists. Schools are already paying them $1,000 or more to come in and do a workshop or a performance. And for that much, they can get a subscription and have all these people teaching their kids. Basically, I'm having someone write curriculum. The teachers turn it on and let it roll.
With a friend who was also LA based, we decided to start a queer poetry reading series, and it's called Influx Collective. We are on a hiatus right now because of COVID. We're trying to rethink how we're going to do our event. We were going to do an event featuring all undocu-queer LA-based poets. And so we still have to reach out with them and re-coordinate, but we're going to try to do something with a podcast for that event this year. I'm also involved with Dissonance Press. We're a newer press kind of looking for any type of writing that subverts literary norms. We are working on a cookbook right now, but that's called Eat Me Out, a Chosen Family cookbook.
Before we go, I want to let you know about Pride Poets, which is now in its 3rd year with support from the City of West Hollywood's One City, One Pride program. We are a group of LGBT poets who write custom poems for people at Pride. And this year we're doing a queer poetry phone line, like a hotline, where you can call in and get a custom poem written for you or a loved one on June 11th, 12th, and 13th. So you're welcome to call in for that. If you'd like to be one of our poets, you can also apply to be a poet or submit a poem to be played as a message.